Welcome to Content Marketing Engineered, your source for building trust and generating demand with technical content. Here is your host, Wendy Covey.
Hi, and welcome to Content Marketing Engineered. On each episode, I'll break down an industry trend, challenge, or best practice in reaching technical audiences. You'll meet colleagues, friends, and clients of mine who will stop by to share their stories. And I hope that you leave each episode feeling inspired and ready to take action. Before we jump in, I'd like to give a brief shout out to my agency, True Marketing. True is a full-service agency located in beautiful Austin, Texas, serving highly technical companies. For more information, visit truemarketing.com. And now, on with our podcast. Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of Content Marketing Engineered. I'm joined today by Joe Sullivan. He is the co-founder of Gorilla 76 and my partner in crime for a very exciting event we have coming up called the Industrial Marketing Summit. Welcome to the show, Joe.
It's awesome to be here, Wendy, and getting super pumped about the event.
Yeah. So that's the focus of today. We wanted to, not have this event be a secret anymore. We have our act together. We have a fantastic program lined up for people. We have sponsors. So we want to just make sure everybody hears about it and considers joining us in Austin for the event. So Joe, let's just start off with this. What the heck is the Industrial Marketing Summit and who would we like to see attend?
Yeah, so I guess in short, the Industrial Marketing Summit is an in-person live learning event. We've kind of referred to it as the premier gathering for industrial marketers, and it is organized by industrial marketers for industrial marketers. So it's really for people in marketing roles in engineering, B2B manufacturing, other technical industries. This is the second year we've run it on our own. It used to be a part of sort of a track inside a content marketing world. We broke it off and turned it into its own thing, and it was a huge success last year. It was kind of our beta test to see, can we make this work and can we make it happen? And it was a huge success. Drew about 200 people. Expect some more, but really it's a learning event, and it's also a really great networking opportunity to bring together people in the roles I just described, from manufacturing, engineering organizations, and to be there with your peers, like marketers who often feel isolated in their roles. They might be the only person in their company or a part of a small group, and to just be able to see what other companies are doing and to collaborate and to learn different strategies and see what's on the horizon in sort of the industrial marketing world.
And there's no other event like this that gathers those marketers together. And we kept hearing over and over at the event that we held back in February is, I found my people. I found other people doing what I'm doing, struggling with the same difficult things that we are within this industry. So it truly is unique in industrial, and it just helped build this community feel. So
that was the quote that stuck out to me. Yeah. I found my people, which was really cool. It was one of those that made, it was like a rewarding feeling at the end of the weekend. I've heard so many people say that either in those words or in similar words, to feel like, okay, there are other people who are feeling the pains I'm feeling, trying to figure out the same things I am in my manufacturing organization, where, as those of you listening know, often lags behind, SaaS and various professional services and things on the marketing front. So it's cool to create this venue for this stuff to happen.
It sure is. So before we get deep into this podcast today and walking through the event, the dates are February 26th through 28th in 2025. It'll be held once again in Austin, Texas at the AT&T Executive Conference Center, which is on the UT campus. So it's an unusual event instead of being downtown. It's downtown adjacent, if you will, but it's a really nice venue and very comfortable. Everybody can be in one place, and they have great food.
That was one of the best parts of last year, of course, was the food. I'm going to come more prepared, staked out for exactly where I need to be, before and after the event. But yeah.
Yeah, I've already heard so many people say they're bringing spouses and turning it into a long weekend. And so that's exciting that we're having it in a place where people want to come visit and, take advantage of. So I love that. Well, in order to put this event on, we have to have sponsors to help underwrite it, to help pull this off. It's not inexpensive to have these events. And there are two sponsors in particular that we wanted to highlight that are really leaning in and helping sponsor this. And that's 3D Find It by Cadenas. And they helped us get this event started last year and coming back as a premier sponsor. And then the EE Tech Group is a leadership sponsor, and we want to thank them for going all in. They'll also be presenting. And then, Joe, we have some other supporters that are called Voices of Industry. Tell me a little bit about those folks.
Yeah, we've got a handful of individuals or small groups that, I would probably describe as either podcasters or, influential people in the manufacturing sector. A lot of names that, those of you listening probably recognize and see all over LinkedIn and probably listen to their podcasts. And so some of those include the Automation Ladies, the Manufacturing Millennial, Jake Hall, Chris Lukey and Manufacturing Happy Hour. We've got Mavens of Manufacturing with Megan Zimba, Women in Electronics. We have the Manufacturing Connector. We've got B2B Tail. And then, of course, our own people from our own shows, Wendy with Content Marketing Engineered, and one of our podcasts, The Manufacturing Marketer, which is our podcast that's really geared at the people we would expect to be attending this show, the marketers. So we're excited to have these people involved in just sort of helping, build some hype and be there during the event and put the spotlight on what we're doing.
Yeah, we love to have them be a part of it. It's great. So the format this year is we're running Wednesday through Friday. One of the big pieces of feedback last year was that people wanted more sessions. They wanted to go longer. We kind of did, what was it, a day and a half last time. So now we're going 2 full days spread across 3 days, if you have 3 dates. So it's like a half and a whole and a half. And that'll allow us more programming, more time together, and actual dual tracks. So maybe, Joe, let's just walk through each day and talk about what's going on, starting with Wednesday, the 26th.
Yeah, so Wednesday we've got event registration happening, but the focus on Wednesday, like during the day, especially early on, are a couple of workshops that we're going to be putting on. These are longer, sort of more in-depth, hands-on sessions where as opposed to just a speaker on stage talking. I'll let you talk about the one that your crew's putting on, Wendy, but our crew at Gorilla is putting on a workshop that's going to be titled How to Transform Marketing from Nice to Have to Must Have. And really what we're doing here is we are teaching as an industrial marketing agency that works with really mid-sized B2B manufacturers, we are going to be teaching our roadmap process, which means how do we get, the president, the CEO, the owner, the head of sales, the head of marketing, maybe a few key salespeople, all bought in, all aligned. We always start our roadmap process with a half-day workshop. So we're going to teach how we do that. How do we get all these people in a room focused on what the most important outcomes are for your company to achieve, what role marketing needs to play in helping accomplish those objectives or solve those problems, how we're going to measure success, and then use that as sort of the focus for now, how are we going to reverse engineer the marketing program to get to those things? So we're going to teach our whole process for going through that discovery process with the key stakeholders on your team and actually building out a physical marketing strategy and action plan tied to that. So that'll be myself, our content director, James Beckman, and Aaron Burrish, our strategy director at Gorilla, who will be kind of triple team in that one, I guess.
Wow. People are going to walk away with so many actionable ideas from that and a whole framework for planning. It's really generous that you're opening up your IP like that. And I know I've heard a lot of excitement over it. So I think it's a great topic. Then after that workshop, Morgan Norris and Jamie Tokars from True Marketing will be presenting on personal branding. So, how to define your personal brand, how to create content for your personal brand, how to live that out there, especially on LinkedIn. And then, how does your personal brand live alongside the company brand? So, how do those two coexist? And then we'll talk about personal branding for subject matter experts and executives. So, it's kind of looking at personal branding through different lenses in that. So, there'll be some framework things there too that people can leave with to help do strategy and planning for branding, as well as just maybe some introspection on how to define and live your brand in a way that feels authentic and comfortable.
I love that topic because I think there's like this, I think a lot of companies struggle, and I heard this during last year. We had a personal branding session, and last year different, set up differently, but some of the things that I think people or leaders of manufacturing organizations struggle with is like letting your people loose out there and having a voice that is not just the company voice, but it's some of your key people's voices. But the reality is like that's what's going to move the needle. It's human beings want to hear from human beings. They want to see and hear your expertise to make them believe that your company is an expert. And so I think there's this, like, some people have to start to let go of the fact that, it's not just the logo that's talking to the world. We need to like pull our people into this and let them be voices for what we stand for and what differentiates us and how we can help our audience. So I'm really excited to sit in and like watch you guys give this session and to see your perspective on how personal brand and corporate brands need to come together.
Yeah, it's all helping each other get better, right? It's
right.
Great. Well, after those morning workshops, then we'll roll into the summit itself. And we're kicking off with a keynote by Paul Reitzer, who is the founder of the Marketing AI Institute and formerly a marketing agency owner, just like you and I in B2B. So he knows our space well. He used to work with tech companies. But Paul, back in 2016, he saw this AI train coming and anticipated it and started this business. And he is at the forefront of what's happening in AI, and he deeply understands marketing. So I couldn't think of a better person to help come in and educate us in a way that's not promoting one product or one way of doing things, but doing so in a way that's practical, but really gets us up to speed with this rapidly changing thing that we all need to be on top of.
Oh my gosh, yeah. And like, I've been a listener to Paul's podcast for a while. I know you personally know Paul. I don't know that I've ever actually met him in person, but I've been following him for well over a decade. He was his agency that he used to own and then sold was the first ever HubSpot partner agency. He came up with the idea that agencies should have HubSpot partnerships. And, my firm, your firm, we're HubSpot partners, but, Paul has always been just ahead of the game, it feels like, and whatever it is. And man, if you're not listening to his podcast yet, which I think it changed names recently it was the Marketing AI podcast. Now I forget what the official name of it is. He's kind of broad and beyond just marketing with
I forget too. What is it? The Artificial Intelligence Show or
I think it's
I don't know. I need to look at my Spotify.
I know. We got to come back to it. But I mean, just does such a great job reporting on what's out there. There's nobody who's got a better pulse on marketing AI, I think, than Paul. And so when I found out we locked him in for the keynote here, I was like, jumping up and down. He's going to be the perfect person to kick off this event in 2025. So really excited.
Yeah. Well, after Paul, we have a pretty unique and special panel that I know is near and dear to your heart. So maybe you can talk about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So this one's maybe will be a little bit different than the rest of the content you see this over the course of the summit. But so, I've been hosting the Manufacturing Executive Podcast for 228 straight weeks now or something like that. And so many of my conversations, not me, of course, but so many of my conversations, probably unsurprisingly to those of you listening, whether I intended for them to go this path or not, come back to like the labor issues. We're struggling to put people on the shop floor. We're struggling to even find, some of the other like leadership roles, engineering roles, whatever they might be. That we know that boomers are exiting the workforce at a rate of 10,000 a day retiring at this point, and you think of the percentage of those that's probably there in manufacturing, and then you've got Gen Z that has a perception of manufacturing that's being driven by their parents of dirty, dark, and dangerous, and really very little exposure to what manufacturing is. Industry 4.0 technology, automation, robotics, like there's so much amazing stuff happening in manufacturing that the next generation isn't exposed to. And so the panel is going to be called Branding for Recruiting the Next Generation. And the reason we think this belongs in the summit, as opposed to just everything being about marketing for customer acquisition and brand image, this is really going to be focused on building that company brand in a way that positions you as an amazing place to work to that next generation, and really not even just the next generation, but like people out there who could be a part of manufacturing and have no idea what it offers. So we've got Jennifer Dawkins from your organization, moderating, and then we've got Megan Zimba, who probably a lot of you know. She's everywhere out there talking about this topic. Yeah. Jacob Sanchez, a guy who's been in manufacturing since he's been 16 years old, who's a Gen Zer, like great voice of industry. And then Mary Jutzi from Batesville Products. Batesville's a company who's like doing some really interesting things, even trying to reach Gen Alpha. Like, how do we get to even younger? So I'm really excited about this, because what you do out there to expose your brand as a place to work, not just for customer acquisition, I think is such an important part of what marketing can be doing right now.
Yeah, great. I mean, what a great introduction. And I think marketing more and more is being tapped to help with this. And marketers are scratching their head saying, what does this campaign look like? And this seems really different. What are the KPIs here? How do I approach this? So I think there'll be an element of that in this panel too. So
yeah.
Good. And then we'll all go outside, because the weather's going to be amazing in late February in Austin. Cross our fingers, but usually it is. Usually it's beautiful in the 70s. We'll get out in the sunshine, have some drinks, have some food, network, let everybody catch up with each other. And, if somebody's listening and they're a marketer of one at their company and they're kind of nervous about coming to an event, what we're going to do before we ever go outside is have people assigned to tables and make sure that marketers of one find a buddy. And so by the time you hit this party, you're already going to know everybody at your table, more people than that probably. And so it's going to be an easy transition into meeting more and more of your industrial marketers right away before we even launch into day 2, which is a full day of 2 tracks of sessions. And we define the tracks as strategy and brand. And then we have another track that's tactical excellence. And there are too many sessions for us to possibly cover in a podcast. So this is definitely more fodder for, go to the website, go to industrialmarketingsummit.com. You can see all of them. But Joe, maybe just a couple of the sessions you're excited about. Maybe walk through that?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, there's so many names on here. I'm really excited to see Dale Bertrand, president of Fire and Spark, back. Dale presented last year and was by far one of the most well-reviewed speakers, and he's doing a couple sessions here. Dale is like a marketing AI expert. He's traditionally has been an SEO expert, so he's kind of bringing some of that together, talking about kind of what's changing in the inbound playbook as a result of all of that's going on. I'm excited to see Chris Lukey on stage. Chris, the manufacturing happy hour guy that a lot of you probably know. He's also doing some live podcast recordings, I think, from the session again this year, but this year he'll be on stage talking about how to put on a live event. You see Chris at every manufacturing trade show out there running parallel events. And so when you've got all your people in one city, for whether it's FabTech or IMTS or, Pack Expo or fill in the blank, what could you do to maybe run an event side by side with that while your people are all there in the city? we've got, let's see, I'm trying to think of a few others I'm excited about. Our crew at Gorilla, our digital creative director, Randall Zaitz, and our senior performance marketer, Kevin McClary, are going to be doing a whole session on how to plan the front end really of a new website that is designed to accomplish real business outcomes, not just sit there and look good, right? So it'll be real performance driven, like planning how to figure out what content needs to be there, and site mapping and wireframing and the front end of that. And then, another one I'm excited about is a panel that's about taking friction out of the buying process. And we've got a variety of perspectives there. Kurt Anderson, Nelson Bruton, Chris Harrington, Matt Chanella, talking about it from different angles, both from like product configuration, how the user experience on your website, how to make it easy to just simply reach out by putting the right information in front of people. Kurt's an e-commerce guy, so he'll get into that a little bit. So those are just a few. I could go on all day about all these sessions, but I don't know. How about Wendy, for you? What are some that are you're looking forward to?
Gosh, those are good ones. Okay.
I took them from you. I'm sorry. Plenty more though.
Right. Well, speaking of panels, we have another one on the channel relationship between manufacturers and distributors and sales reps, and how do these different companies partner together for co-marketing. And so Mary Ellen Stack, Ellen Albright, and Jared Beasley are going to come in. And it'll be interesting because we have different industries represented. So we have some electronic components, and then more manufacturing rep oriented. So that'll be great to just think broadly about co-marketing and how to work these relationships. And then we have a few that are content strategy and content planning oriented, from Craig Coffey from Eaton and Jenny Probst, hope I said her last name right, from Caterpillar. And so how to use customer journey mapping, how to think about individual pieces of content differently. So some good just content strategy stuff there. And then I'm excited about this one from Devin Webb at EE Tech. So this, let me just tell you the name of this. Tell me if this doesn't pique your interest. The Cookieless Future, Preparing for Performance Marketing in a Privacy-Focused Landscape. So again, here we have, privacy shutting things down, and people not filling out forms, and you can't do all of the, we'll call it maybe intrusive tracking that we used to do on where people are going on our sites. And so how do we still build a strategy that works and reach people and do ABM, or, find people and re-engage with them when so many of these doors are starting to shut down on us? And Dale's going to be very similar when he talks about Google, with all of their generative search results, really removing high-level funnel content from your own website, right? You're not going to get that traffic anymore because Google's scooping it up. Large language models with search like ChatGPT are scooping it up. So, God, it's just so much to keep up with, isn't it, right now?
Yeah.
A lot going on. So those are some big ones. We do have another true marketing session on from data to impact. So it's how to create effective marketing reports, and what should you be reporting to the C-suite, and what are more performance metrics that you need to work as a marketer, and really what's changing, because a lot of metrics aren't really reflecting the right things. And when metrics are driving your strategy and you're not measuring the right things, it's impacting, whether or not you're going to be successful as a marketer within the organization. So there's a lot to unpack with that session for sure.
Absolutely.
Well, Joe, so we have this 2-track Thursday and then half day Friday with all of those sessions we just talked about. We also have a party. So I'm really excited. We're narrowing down the venue right now. We're down to 2 options. We'll probably sign that contract next week, but no doubt either one we pick has a big flavor of Austin. We want people to experience different areas of Austin that they haven't been to, and craft beer and local foods, and just get a feel for the real Austin vibe. And so Moby from your team is leading the charge on that and doing a great job. He's he's just someone who's really connected within Austin anyway. And he's come up with some good options there.
Yeah, that's great. And I love that the two of you have been able to kind of investigate venues. That was a blast last year, that the after summit soiree, as we called it, which that'll be Thursday night after the sessions. Yeah, I was out later than I probably should have been last year. But man, we had fun. And you're right. It was just like get out in Austin and see the city. You know, that's home to you. It's not to me. I'm in St. Louis. So getting out of the St. Louis winter and down into where we were walking around with shorts and a t-shirt that particular week in February or end of January last year was pretty amazing. So looking forward to that as well.
You were cracking me up that you keep saying last year. You realize it was
this year, wasn't it? It was this year. You're right. It's this year.
It feels like a long time ago now because we've been so deep in 2025 planning.
Yeah,
so it's exactly. All good. I know what you mean.
I know. Yeah, totally.
Well, registration is open now. So if you're listening and you want to join us in Austin in February of 2025, come on. Go to industrialmarketingsummit.com. We're still accepting sponsorships. We would love to get your company involved. If you would like to help underwrite this event and make it special, we'd love to have you. Anything else to add, Joe?
I think we pretty much nailed it. I mean, it's just like you said earlier, there's really nothing like this for marketers in manufacturing. There's plenty of marketing, events you can go to out there. Obviously, different, workshops and summits and things, but we kept hearing that last year. That was like one of the things that stuck out, is like, this is for me. I found my people. It's amazing. Like, everybody here is speaking my language as somebody in B2B manufacturing who deals with the things that B2B manufacturers deal with. And so you're going to find content that's really catered to you. Yeah. And I think that's something that's pretty special about this, and just the community that's been building around it too has been really fun to see that develop, like friendships, form, people helping each other out over the course of the last, whatever X amount of months it's been since, just from stories I've heard. So yeah, it's a pretty cool thing, and just glad that we've been able to get through year one and turn this into something that's we hope will live on well into the future.
I love it. I couldn't agree more with everything you said. And if someone's listening and they're wondering, like, well, is this more geared towards beginner marketers or is this more advanced? Take a look at the program. There's definitely our target is the mid-level to senior marketer. So the programming will reflect that. And definitely there's something for that marketer of one and a manufacturing company. And there's something there for that enterprise marketer at a large manufacturing or an engineering company. So, our goal over time is just to continue to make this an industry event and make sure the programming is inclusive to all industrial marketers, because we're all in this together, figuring it out, right, Joe?
Indeed, we are.
All right. Well, thank you so much for dropping by today.
Absolutely.
Thanks for joining me today on Content Marketing Engineered. For show notes, including links to resources, visit truemarketing.com/podcast. While there, you can subscribe to our blog and our e-newsletter and order a copy of my book, Content Marketing Engineered. Also, I would love your reviews on this podcast. So please, when you get a chance, subscribe and leave me your review on your favorite podcast subscription platform. Thanks and have a great day.